but most importantly, here in the two-man power trip of wrestling world, oh, we love to call him this. He's a former WCW World Heavyweight Champion. You may remember him from the wrestling movie Ready to Rumble, but it is our absolute pleasure to welcome in right now the one and only David Arquette. David, thank you so much for joining the two-man power trip of wrestling.
Hey, thank you, Chad. Thanks, John. Thanks for having me, guys.
So WCW champion, David, in the wrestling world is something that's always going to be linked, and we're going to get to it in a minute here. But before we get rolling, I want to talk about your latest project, the Survivor's Guide to Prison. Now, it's something that when I'm reading the sheet here, it's something that automatically catches my eye. It's a very cool project, but tell us what really drove you to this project in Survivor's Guide to Prison.
Well, I was always really a big fan of Matthew Cook, the director. He's Oscar nominated, really talented guy. And he just kind of opened my eyes to the catastrophe that is our prison system. So he showed us an early cut, and me and my wife joined him as producers and just really wanted to get the word out about, what you can do to sort of stay safe, because in America, you have more of a chance of going to prison than anywhere else in the world. So it's just sort of tips for people and sort of some things that work and ways we could change the prison system if we ever, if everyone just cared enough to sort of change it.
So what was it that really drove you to it in terms of the content? Because it hit theaters on February 23rd. It's also on demand. But what was it about the film exactly that really took you by surprise or just kind of took over your emotions, in that it's something that you felt really needed to be kind of shared with the masses?
Well, I have some friends that had gone to prison, turned their lives around, and I just think it's a shame. We have 80% of people that go to state prison return within 5 years. So that's just a failure. And if we had 80% phones only worked 80% of the time, no one would buy that phone. I mean, it's just terrible that we're doing this, and it's a prison for profit industry, and it's just completely backwards. So it's just to do something to sort of help. I mean, we're the land of the free. We shouldn't be locking up more people than anyone else in the world. We lock up 1/3 of all the world's women, and 80% of the women in prison are mothers. So we're destroying families. We don't have any rehabilitation or any kind of mental health kind of work that we're doing to sort of help combat it. So we just wanted to raise awareness and sort of, join the fight. We like to say it's more of it's not a movie. It's a movement.
Yeah, and kind of elaborate on that if you can. It's not a movie, it's a movement, because the people that are also attached to this and helping tell the story, I mean, it's a powerful cast, but also it's such a powerful topic that I think it transcends just the people telling the story, because, capital punishment, look at it whichever way you want. Obviously, people are going to be for it, people are going to be against it, but is there something that maybe if you were for it in the past kind of changed your views as to why we should maybe move away from capital punishment?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started talking to Matthew, I was for capital punishment. I was sort of under the, belief that if somebody, murdered somebody, they should be killed. I mean, they shouldn't be able to do that again. But a lot of the time, what I learned through the process is most of the time when the murder occurs, people are immediately remorseful. A lot of the time, it's sort of a lot of different instances that lead to this. Sometimes people are just with somebody who commits a murder and then they're going away as well. I mean, there's all kinds of things. I mean, before DNA evidence, we've put people to death that were innocent. So, I mean, just that alone, once we as a society become the murderers, then, we just perpetuate that sort of mindset.
Now, how do you feel about the response to the project? Is it some that, there's going to be detractors, but have you felt a positive response from the viewing public and who's gotten a chance to see this so far?
Yeah, I mean, we have 100% on Rotten Tomatoes with both audience and critics. So, people have really been positive about the film. It brings up a lot of hard topics. It's not easy to talk about. It's not something that, it's real clean cut sort of solutions to these problems, but we just want to bring it all up. You can go to facebook.com/Survivor's Guide to Prison and find out what bills are coming up, what you can vote on. It's really through legislation that we're going to change things.
Yeah, it's a cool project, and definitely I love the ability that you can see it in theaters, and it opened on the 23rd of February, but also you can get it on demand. And John and I, as we were kind of preparing here, we also saw that you can even get it on Amazon. So there's different ways to consume this project, and that's very cool. But David, we are here on the two-man power trip of
Okay.
wrestling, and we got to get
Yeah,
into it. I mean, we have been chomping at
let's
the
do
bit.
it.
Yeah, let's get into it if we can. Former WCW champion on the wrestling side of things. I don't know if you've kept tabs on it for years, but your name lives on almost as famously as your Hulk Hogan's and your Andre the Giant's and your Steve Austin's. And I am not blowing smoke up your fanny in saying that. Can you believe that here we are, we're 18 years later, and we are still talking about that moment where you won the WCW World Championship?
Yeah, I know. The problem with that is I'm always used as like the example of like, oh, this decision was worse than when David Arquette got the belt. I'm always like I'm the example of, I'm the joke in a sense. So yeah, I mean, that sort of, I get it. You know what I mean? I like to think of myself as I'm really the only like fan that became, a champion. I totally understand that other wrestlers were fans, but then they're professional wrestlers too. I'm literally like man on the street became the champion. So I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to prove myself in the wrestling world, but I'm going to have to do something at some point just to bring some respect to my name.
I mean, it's funny. It's 18 years later, and we're talking about, the fact that WCW championship has been evolved into another title altogether. But still, yeah, they kind of look back at it in jest, and you kind of say, oh, well, David Arquette won the world title. But one thing that you look at from the wrestling side is it was not only a huge headline grabber for WCW at the time. It was a huge tie-in to Ready to Rumble. And obviously, the powers that be are the ones that make the decision, not you. And one thing that's always been bandied about out there is the fact that when you were brought to this idea, you did not want to win the title. So if you can you tell us that backstory and how that all went down and how you were told you were going to be winning the world title that night on Thunder?
It's all kind of blurred in me, to be honest with you. I kind of was going along with it. I didn't have a lot of people telling me exactly what to do. I didn't really know. I didn't know I was like, one of my first matches that I was doing, I'm blanking now. I was doing I can't. It's hard to talk about this stuff because you don't want to reveal too much. But they told me to do Scotty 2 Hotties move or something. I didn't know.
Oh, the worm.
Scotty 2 Hotties move. I didn't know I was supposed to wait for the crowd to say stuff. Like, people just kind of threw me out there. They're like, what can you do? And I was like, I can do anything. I was a black belt in Yoshikai karate at the time. I was like, I could actually kind of fight. So, but they had a big kind of insurance policy against me. So they couldn't let me get hurt. And nobody wanted me to beat them up, so everyone had to beat me up, which is often the harder role in wrestling. But I don't know. I enjoyed the experience. For me, it was like I get to fly around with Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. I get to like talk to them about Andre the Giant and all these like legends. And that pretty much is why I wanted to do it. I wanted to sort of, I'm from an acting family that goes back to vaudeville. So to me, it's really kind of similar to the wrestling world as far as generational and almost like a carny lifestyle where you're on the road. And I don't know. I love the opportunity to be a part of that. I didn't need to be the champion or anything, but I did shoot like one time when I went off script is when I said I shouldn't be the champ. Booker T should be the champ, and I listed a few other people that should be the champ, with Canyon and real wrestlers, not me. You know what I mean? So a lot of that part was kind of from my voice, and I didn't feel bad about it. I didn't want to I knew these people that dedicated their lives, and their families were wrestlers, and they've worked their ways up to be sitting there like this guy comes in from Hollywood. I totally get it, but I never really I don't know. I didn't think about it as much. I didn't think how huge a deal it would be. I didn't think how disrespectful it was. I didn't know. I didn't even know what to do. Half the time I was, just kind of lost in what I was doing because I didn't really have too much guidance. DDP was incredible and really helpful. And Canyon was incredible. And Shane Helms was incredible. And Jeff Jarrett was incredible just in like guiding me through it. But the way they set things up is like that. We'll do two things, bump in and bounce off the flip and double, and I'm sitting there. I don't know what you guys are saying, much less what the heck am I supposed to be doing. They don't even rehearse things. They might go over it like, walk through things, but they don't practice. Like, I mean, I needed training. Like, I needed to really sort of have a good shot at it. It was just kind of like all a lot. And the other thing is doing the promos. Like, nobody tells you like how these promos are. They'll give you 2 pages of dialogue, and they're like, okay, this is what we're gonna film, like 2 minutes, and you're like, whoa, and then nobody tells you. You kind of just have to get the gist of it and go through it. But they just didn't really. It wasn't too clear about everything I was supposed to be doing. I could have used some training, some guidance, some practice, like practicing doing promos and all that stuff. And there's a lot of pressure when it's live and you're like sitting there and, people are spitting on you, like actual spit on your face, and you're supposed to like not want to choke them. There's a lot going on there. So, it was interesting. It was a fun experience. I won't say that it wasn't, but for a kid that I grew up in Hollywood. We weren't rich when I was growing up. We were little tough kids. We were running around. We getting scraps all the time. So being punked a lot wasn't easy for me, and I was kind of like getting a little pissed off. One night I was almost like I should just try to just fight. Like almost like a jail mentality. Like I should go fight Tank Abbott because I had to fight him one night, and I was like, I should just fight him, and then at least I get some street cred. You know what I mean? Especially since he was pretty wasted. And
that WCW crew at that point was like, I was so crazy. And looking back, I mean, like I said, 18 years ago, so a lot has changed in wrestling. But what I think is kind of funny is that you went from being on a set where you're comfortable in a wrestling environment to then translating that over into the live event side and going to the backstage wrestling matches. So when you got there, did you know what to expect? And were you that surprised that it was that much different than the movie set?
No, I was super surprised. I was totally sort of lost. I didn't again, there wasn't a lot of rehearsal. There wasn't a lot of like preparation. There wasn't a lot of walking through. I mean, those things move really fast anyway. Like just in general, like you're moving from town to town, you're getting there, you're meeting at the thing, you're eating something, you're, going back to your hotel, you come back and maybe like go over something a second. But yeah, it just left a lot of things really unclear for me. And I don't know. It was just, I didn't know all the stuff you could do. Like, I don't know. Didn't know you could say like, nah, I'm not going to be punked like that. You know what I mean? Like, you can like beat me up and make it like, I really got hurt or something. You know what I mean? Let me try something. Let me try a move. The only move I got them to let me do was jumping off the top rope in the triple cage match because I always loved Jimmy Superfly Snuka. But then they wouldn't even let me land on somebody, like hit somebody. Like nobody wanted me to hit them. Nobody wanted like to, that I could hurt them or anything. You know what I mean? It's the whole wrestling thing.
So fun, though, really looking back. I mean, it is crazy to think, David Arquette, the former WCW World Champion in the pantheon of Hogan and Flair and Sting and the Harley Race of the world. Do you look back at that night when you actually won the title? Were you actually thinking it in your head as a fan, like, oh my God, like I'm going to go down in history?
No, see, I didn't even at all understand the impact of it, or like the, how sacred sort of it's held. You know what I mean? I try to like give it respect on my own, like just in general with my actions or whatever. But I always wanted to take the belt out to fans to take. That's the other thing. They give you the belt and they're like, okay, you're in charge of it. I was like, what? Like, yeah, you have to travel with it, and like don't check it. You can't check that. You gotta like, carry that on, and you gotta bring it everywhere. You're in charge of it. So just stuff like that. So I'd bring it around to all the fans and let them take pictures with it, and tried to be respectful of it. But when you mention a guy like Harley Race and like that kind of sort of, legendary status, that's like, it's obvious why people would get upset, and that I, didn't whatever. But, one of the things I did put together was, I was shooting 3,000 Miles to Graceland at the time, and I had to go up to Toronto, and my wife was there, and she was filming a scene with Kurt Russell. And I put together the little promo of her and Kurt Russell, which was that was the only one I got to work on because I was up there alone. They just got a film crew. So I kind of was able to like put my own spot together, which was kind of fun. That was a fun little piece. And I got Kurt Russell and Courtney Cox on WCW. So that was fun too.
Yeah, that's a huge, huge accomplishment. Think about, two huge stars like that. But the best part about that is you're kind of playing up this awesome, like, Hollywood gimmick that you're the world champion. And Kurt Russell's trying to, like, almost, like, talk you down. Like, are you crazy? You're not really the champ. But, was that, like, a ton of fun to pull that off? Because that was so funny from a fan perspective.
Yeah, totally. I mean, my humor in general, my character, Dewey, like, I usually self-deprecating is always kind of good for me. You know what I mean? It works. I don't take it personally, unlike the president who can, I'm just kidding. He can't take a joke about himself, but I can. but I don't know. Yeah, that was fun. It was fun. And Kurt's amazing. Like, but Kurt Russell's another guy. Yeah, he's a tough guy. I could probably beat him up. You know what I mean? You see a lot of these fucking, oh, sorry if I cursed, but you see a lot of these people, and when you're used to like fighting, you like don't like to take stuff from people. You know what I mean? You like, so it gets you have to. A lot of those guys are big though, but also that was always the thing. Like, always get the big guy. But it's all good. It's in the past now. As you see, I don't have any resentment. But I had a blast. I know people like had a problem with it. I didn't mean any disrespect. I got nothing but love for everybody. I have personal philosophy that, I'm a champion. You're a champion. We're all champions.
I love it. I love that philosophy that you have. Now, is it true that you donated all the money you made from WCW to charity? Is that actually true?
Yeah, it didn't. I wasn't ever supposed to be, talked about. It wasn't something that was done for that reason. It was more done out of respect. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I thought this very, 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 respectful of you and very gracious of you. And I always look back saying, wow, that's awesome that you did that. You took it very, very seriously. You donated the money to charity. But a guy like Vince Russo, it seems like always gets the negative end of it, the brunt of it. Did you have a relationship at all with Vince Russo and the writing staff at that time?
I don't really. I mean, he was really nice when I met him and everything. I have nothing but respect for him. I think he does get a lot of the flack for what happened. I mean, people blame me for killing WCW. That was a battle that was going on hard, and I still think that it's a shame that WCW, the brand, has been killed. I mean, even if WWE just owned it and kind of split it apart and used it as a foil for themselves. You know what I mean? Because that's when it was always so fun, when everybody got sort of, when both of them were going, it was like a huge wrestling kind of moment where, you have these two really large organizations that are competing. But now it's pretty interesting that there's all these kind of little up and coming where they've always been there, but with the, invention of the internet and what Billy Corgan and Dave Lugana are doing at NWA is really exciting. And just, I think there's going to be a lot of more excitement. And the fact that you can get everything on the internet and it's just sort of bridging all these gaps, and people are learning about different wrestlers, that they're just seeing matches online. I think it's pretty exciting time. And I think it's leading up to another rebirth of a really great time for wrestling.
And the thing is, with you and you keeping up on things with wrestling, which is great with, the NWA and a lot of the internet promotions that are, streaming services that are going on with wrestling, and everyone kind of in the independent scene really picking it up. I noticed today on your Twitter, you had almost like a thoughtful emoji of Kid Rock being in the WWE Hall of Fame. Do you yourself want to be in the WWE Hall of Fame, given you are a former world champion?
I was sort of just, it's like it's the sort of wrestling thing. You kind of like, you kind of stoke the waters, or whatever the term is. You just kind of like mess with people. So yeah, no, I think I totally approve of Kid Rock. I think he's got that whole vibe. It's right. But I mean, he wasn't the champion.
That's a very good point. And I love that, you put that out there, and people are probably like, what is he talking about? So is it any idea or any thought? Because you did perform for Vince McMahon on Raw at the Slammy Awards in 2010. You played a great kind of villain. You called yourself the former world champion. You were in there with Alex Riley against Randy Orton. You get powerbombed through a table, all this other stuff. So you were a world champion. Then you have that big Raw that you're on for the WWE and Vince. Do you think that you should be in the Hall of Fame? Just throwing it out there. Do you think you should be in the WWE Hall of Fame in the celebrity wing?
Oh, that's not my place to say I should be in it, whatever. But I was going through a divorce at the time, so I was a little crazy. I had lost my voice, and I took it upon myself to put down New Orleans, which I love that city. But I was just kind of playing the heel for a moment to get the crowd, because I get it, you want them to hate you. And but it was amazing. I mean, being put through a table by Randy Orton, that's like kind of a dream. I love that stuff. So to me, it was just kind of a fun opportunity. And I really respect what WWE's done, and just the whole business and all the history and all the sort of what Vince McMahon's done in general with that business is just remarkable. I mean, they're super smart, and the whole family being involved. I love all that. So no, I don't. I'm good just doing my thing. You know what I mean? I would love to be included in the world a little. I mean, I've been asked to go to signings and stuff, but I always find that a little hard to do. Not hard to do, but I don't know. It's kind of odd. I like meeting the fans and everything, and I like all that. So at some point, something will happen where it'll make sense to sort of be involved or do something that might bring me back into the world a little more.
When you were in the WWE for that, on Raw for that brief moment, did Vince mention anything to you about being a former WCW champion? Did he kind of rub it in at all, or did he say anything to you about it?
No, it's such an inside world, you know what I mean? And I'm such an outsider. And there is a lot of animosity, a lot of people have to you have to play it a little safe. You know what I mean? You don't want to alienate the fans, or you don't want to, get people upset in a way that isn't helpful for the sport. So, I know he was great. I mean, Triple H was really helpful too in that process. Charles Robinson has always been super cool. I don't know. Mouth of the South was amazing during that time. Ric Flair threw his arm around me at one point, and when I was kind of going through a hard time, and he showed up and he was telling me stories about running around the hotels with just the robe on, nothing else. Then he'd lose the robe, and then he'd have to find his robe before the end of the day. Great stories like that. But we were at the hotel bar one night. He threw his arm around me. It was right toward the end. And he said, "Listen up, fellas. He's one of us." And that to me was kind of like, oh, man, thank you for that. It's just I felt like such an outsider. People were so like, they just hated me. I mean, for the most part, a lot of the people just hated me and would like to see things go wrong or like, me get egg on my face just because of the situation. And I totally understood it. But, yeah, I got nothing but respect for the wrestlers, what they put their bodies through, just seeing it all. It was a blast. I mean, geez, it was insane.
Now, just to wind it down here, I mean, what a great trip down memory lane. I loved it when you were world champion. It was not front page, but it was huge news in USA Today. It was all over the news. It was all over the place. You were the world champ. You beat Eric Bischoff on Nitro, then you beat Bischoff in a tag match involving obviously DDP and Jarrett. You become world champion. But what kind of was your favorite moment in wrestling and in WCW? Was it Flair, kind of accepting you? Was it, the Jimmy Harts of the world kind of giving you that respect? What was your favorite part of being there? I don't think it was losing the title in the triple cage, was it?
No, I mean, it all like certain things sort of pop in your head. One of them during that triple cage, Canyon took a bump off the top of the thing into like these boxes. I don't know how they just jump into boxes. It's the craziest thing I ever seen. But this guy, I mean, being able to work with him so closely on Ready to Rumble, especially because we spent so much time on that together. He was just such a great guy. And it's, that's something that sticks with me just because, he took his life and was in some pain. And I don't know if it's just, I would have loved to been able to talk to him about it because I grew up with, a transgender sister who so I know like, battling certain emotions and all that. But that sticks out as just one thing. He's a really wonderful guy who's like one of the great, like, kind people. So I miss him a lot. Shane Helms made me look really great in Ready to Rumble. But DDP in general is just like such a hero of mine. He's such a positive force in general. Such a good human, you know what I mean? Just in general, just a great guy. Goldberg was an amazing person, very kind throughout the whole process. Really, he sent me a belt at the end, and I popped the name off and put my name on.
That's awesome.
But I appreciate it. Yeah.
Now, looking back though, do you have like a favorite match that you had? Because you had a couple. I mean, you beat Tank Abbott, legitimate tough guy. You beat Bischoff twice, technically. You're in the triple cage. Do you have a favorite match looking back, or is that impossible to say?
Well, the first match was really fun because I got to do a couple things, which then they didn't let me do anything after that. I think they negotiated the contract or something for some reason, or it's people didn't like, or maybe it was that people didn't want me beating them up or something. But triple cage match was just fun because it was such a spectacle, like that big cage and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It's all sort of a blur. I haven't even watched any of that stuff in years. So, I'll click on it once in a while to show somebody like, yeah, no, really, I was the champion. Look, and that's about all I do. But I haven't watched any of the matches, and I can barely remember like the whole time period. It was so blurry.
Well, it's something that stuck with wrestling fans to this day, and I'm telling you, not a week goes by that it's not mentioned on a podcast or in a dirt sheet or on a website. It's still out there.
Oh my gosh,
it's still out there.
amazing.
But we've heard so much about how much you enjoyed it and really all the cool things that you did in that little run back in 2000. But the way I usually end it here before we get to the plugs are, I usually say, when you look back at your career, what do you think of this match or that match? Or when you look at where you're going to be in 5 years, what do you see yourself doing? But I got to say, we got to flip the switch here, and we got to just ask this. I mean, you come from such a legendary family in the entertainment business, and your family's done so much. What do you want, not only wrestling fans or fans of acting and comedy and movies and television, what do you want fans to remember about the Arquette name in the pantheon of entertainment? What was something that you want them to always remember?
I don't know, just that we're entertainers. You know what I mean? We're here to, like, that's our job. You know, we're fourth generation for people that go up on a stage just to try to make you laugh, make you forget about your problems. So if we do that, and we do good work, and we do things that you enjoy, that's when we succeed. So we don't ever go out trying to do like a junky movie or something that doesn't work. We're just always trying to, you know, be active. You know, it's hard in Hollywood. You go through these sort of roller coasters. Your career's high, your career cools down, whatever it is. You just have to keep kind of chipping away. So I just hope I entertain people, made them laugh, have fun, and that's pretty much all I try to do. I mean, I do also want to add that Hulk Hogan was really nice too. I got to walk through an airport with Hulk Hogan. There's nothing in the world like that. This guy was telling me stories about Andre the Giant and all this stuff. And then, yeah, we're walking, because I'd seen them at the LA Sports Arena. I touched the Giant's back, his big old sweaty, pimply back. And it was amazing. I was such a fan of that time period in general. Macho Man, I can't forget Macho Man. He was such a kind, sweet guy. So, like, amazing. Just a great human. So all those guys were really kind to me. I appreciate all that wrestling, you know, allowed me to do and just be a part of it. And I'm glad people are still having fun with it. Who knows? Who knows? I ain't dead yet. Good thing about wrestling is, you know, you got a longer lifespan than you do, say, NFL.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And before Danny Trejo comes after me here with the machete, we got to go back to the Survivors.
Oh, my God. How great would Danny Trejo be wrestling?
He could get your back.
God, that guy. We should bring him. I got backup and have Danny Trejo come out. Oh, yeah, now we're talking.
All right, before we wrap it up here, let's get one more plug-in for Survivor's Guide to Prison. Tell us where we can find it, and also tell us where we can find anything and everything going on in the world. And did I just say this, of David Arquette?
Yeah, at David Arquette on any sort of social media. And then, you know, Survivor's Guide to Prison, it's on iTunes, it's on Amazon, and, you know, it's on any digital thing. So if you got DirecTV, you could order it there, or Dish, wherever.
Awesome. Yeah, everybody check it out, please. We already took a look at it. It's awesome. And I can't even tell you how stoked we've been for this. And this has been so awesome. David Arquette, former WCW World Heavyweight Champion. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been so awesome.
One time champion.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please help me out by clicking the subscribe, like, and get notifications buttons on this video so you don't miss any of my upcoming news clips, shoot interviews, or match footage. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at the Hannibal TV if you want to follow us on those platforms for instant updates.